Larry Fiddler.
Here.
Greg J. Gary Bennington.
Here.
Cindy Holland. Rick Deerwester.
At 769 calls for service for the year. Our agency assists are 70, 396 police services, 55 traffic arrests, 38 moving arrests, and 162 warnings. We've already worked 25 crashes. We've served 5 warrants, making 22 misdemeanor arrests and 10 felony arrests, and 6 drug arrests. Field intelligence reports, we've been working with some of the other agencies, turning in some information. We've got good news with the dog. One of the things Kelly wanted me to cover is the Garcia. Are you all familiar with Garcia? I see someone shaking your head, yes. No. It's where we're required with a canine, you got to provide compensation for the handler a half an hour a day. And one of the things, the way we do it, once again, to keep things, what we're doing is, where he works a 12-hour day, he's working an 11-hour day. So, in essence, we'll allow him an hour at the first of his shift, and then he comes on. So if he's due on a 3, he'll come on at 4. If he's due on a 5, he'll come on at 6. Compensating for that hour, he takes care of the dog. He just does some training with the dog. He doesn't claim anything on the days off, so the 6 months out of the year that, the time frame, the way it works, it should come out so you have half an hour every day for the year. And we're both in agreement that's the best way to do it. He's good to go with it. We also have been raising a good amount of money. I just brought Kelly some donations the other day. It was like 16 something.
I think so.
Yeah. So we've got a lot of public coming out. We had a raffle on some guns down at WPW where they sponsored us. The t-shirt sales that we've been doing have been going good. So we should have the dog. We're going to have the complete payoff of the dog here pretty soon. And with that being said, I got to say, Argo is now fully certified through for drugs and everything. First night on duty, first deployment on a potential stop, found methamphetamine and made an arrest. So if you haven't seen it on Facebook, we got a pretty good post on Facebook about it, and Virgil was very, very happy with it. They're making a great team right now. We've been pretty happy with that. We're working with a reserve. We got one reserve last month, just so y'all know that we got a new young kid's been working with Virgil. Virgil's been kind of his mentor. Donated 118 hours to the town last month. So the reserves as a whole that we've got so far this year, 408 hours they've donated. Yeah, and so that's a savings to the department on that. So, and they're helping us cover shifts. But right now we're continuing on. We've got some great investigations we're working and stuff that we're staying busy. Yes.
Can I ask a question, Steve?
Yes.
On that gun raffle, how often y'all do that?
Well, we're now, the way it's kicked off, and we're doing it with the Facebook Live and doing the drawing that way, we are probably going to try to do maybe one a quarter or one every 6 months.
And that's advertised?
Yeah, through WPW. Mark's been broadcasting it. And we got a lot of great interest in that, so.
Yes. All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Fire Chief.
She was that quick.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Don't worry, Steve, I'm going to be quicker. All right, for the month of March, total runs, we had 61 runs. 24 of those runs were in the town limits. I don't really have a breakdown because I got six kids that are playing sports. So luckily I didn't have game. The game tonight was a away game, so I didn't go. So, but and I was going to bring you a flyer. I don't know if you can hang it up in there for you, but we're having our sausage and pancake in 2 weeks on April the 24th down at the Legion, since COVID's not going to be an issue anymore, hopefully. Yeah, I was going to bring some, and I was in a hurry and I didn't get them, but I'll try to drop some off to you. Yeah. And then if you see it on any of our Facebook, if you guys could share it, we'd appreciate it. So
What was the time on that?
it's Yeah, it's April the 24th from 6 a.m. to noon. Yeah, and it's at the Legion. And I think the Legion's having a ride that day. If any of you guys ride motorcycles, they're having a fundraiser for us. They ride bikes. So hopefully the weather's good. So, and could you write your email address? You have an email that if I can't make it, I'll try to send you what I got. If you could write that down for me. I'm gonna try to make as many as I can, but we're not requiring masks down there. I talked to the Legion, and if you people, they can wear masks. Doesn't bother me. Me personally, I'm not one to wear one. I hate them, but I have to wear one all day at work. So, and on medical runs, we still have to wear them. So I'm assuming you guys are probably going to do the same. Yeah. We do if they have a COVID symptom, but a runny nose is a symptom of COVID. So you really. So, but other than that, that's all I got. Anybody got any questions for me or anything?
Not here. Anybody in the audience? Okay. Thank you, Kurt.
Alrighty.
Thank you. Thank you. Town manager.
There we go. Well, obviously, we're moving on a lot of projects, a lot of outdoor projects as well. If you've got anything that you specifically see around town as a council, feel free to email me, text me, call me, whatever. We'll make sure we get it. We're going into obviously the busy season for mowing and taking care of outdoor issues such as the park, and we did some painting today, so we're going to be trying to get on some of those projects. We're also going to do a wholesale cleaning at the sewer plant for the maintenance barn. We're going to go through and really determine what exactly is there and we need and what we don't need. So that's kind of what we've got going there. I've got several items on the agenda. A couple of them are just going to be discussion only, I guess, but wanted to bring the attention to you. We did get the sidewalk fixed out here. I don't know if anybody came in the back. Much better. Also got that area cleaned up a little bit. We've still got a little bit to do. They are going to seal. They're coming on Thursday afternoon to seal along the crack along the wall. They actually did the repair. It was raining, so they couldn't put any caulking, so they're going to do that Thursday afternoon.
I noticed right there outside the door before the grating, is that holding water there?
We power washed today.
Okay.
Yeah. We did some power washing, and actually I'm kicking myself because I have a big pile of rock out here that I didn't realize we didn't get picked up. So right in front of the drop box out here, you'll see a pile of rock. That was our oversight there. So, but we picked up a lot of rock. I don't know where all this rock comes from. You've got a ton of rock on your parking lot out here. I have no idea where it would have ever come from, but we blew it in a big pile today and power washed and just did some outdoor activities out there. Which brings me to the next thing. We have on the outside of this building there's there's an antenna that at some point in time we had a base radio here apparently. I don't know if it's even been since you've been here, Steve. But there is a tower out here. We do have wires running I think up into Kelly's office. Obviously that type of communication is a thing of the past. Everybody carries a telephone now, and that's the way everybody communicates. I checked with Richard Saucerman, and I also spoke to Brad, whether there's a need for it. Spoke to the police department. They don't use any of that type of radio equipment today. Contacted Dave Costin at Putnam County, the Putnam County dispatcher. He's over the 911 center. He would have interest in that. I took pictures of it today, sent it to him to see if it would have interest. He thought the county might be able to use it somehow. So I guess the first thing we need to decide is whether we do want to keep it. I mean, it's, after the meeting, if you guys want to take a look at it, walk out there and just take a look and see if it's something you could, it just probably needs to come down and be used somewhere if someone can use it. But if we're not going to use it here, we do have several sets of two-way radios that I'm not sure what the purpose was, but there's about 10 or 12 of them in this office. But that doesn't require that antenna for anything, so not.
That antenna won't be needed for reading the water meters in the future, but you might run that by Richard. It's coming down the line.
Truck drive by and pick them all up.
It does now, but in 5 years, they'll be able to read them all from here.
That is a possibility. When I was clerk at Bainbridge, we did have that software. We were the first in the state to get that software, where you have collectors around your town, and it's a fixed-based system. Now, it's very, very expensive, and I don't know if we'll ever, I don't know that our system will ever upgrade to it, but we might in the future, and I mean, that's a valid point.
How tall is it?
I'm estimating 60 feet.
Is there any value or any possibility of leasing it to a seller? Or?
I don't think it's tall enough
I
to,
don't think it'd be strong enough either.
probably true. But this is just for discussion. I mean, that's why I want to throw it out here, and that's maybe a valid point. Maybe we need to look and see.
Check that out before we.
But they did seem interested if we didn't want it. I mean, however we dispose of it, we sell it to them, we give it to them, we lease it to them, whatever we would do. But it's just something that we definitely want to pull the wires at least out of the offices. There's no need for that. But then we can decide what we want to do with the tower. So what I'll probably do is just leave it on the agenda, and then we can discuss it next month, and I can check with the utility guys and see if that's even a possibility of needing it. Next item, and I'm gonna try and get through this quick, I promise. Equipment repair. We have two pieces of equipment at the maintenance facility that are in pretty good disrepair. You should have that in your packet. The repairs, the first is the backhoe. It's substantially lesser of the two repairs. Those are primarily windows. Apparently the windows got knocked out in two different occasions when a tree hit them as they were moving a tree. So a branch came through one of the doors and then one of the back windows. So the cost to do a complete door is $2,900, or we could, and I spoke to Brad, if we could do the repairs ourselves. The total cost of the frame was $983 plus $210. So you're looking at just shy of $1,200 to repair the backhoe. It's really truly something that needs to be done. But then the bigger of the two, or I'm sorry, that's for the door, and that's $331 for the back glass. So it'd be $1,500 total. And then we could do the repair, or we could buy a complete door at $2,900, which I don't think is necessary. I think we can make the repair. So we're looking at $1,500 there. There is one little issue on the blade on the backhoe that probably needs repaired, and that's $300. So I guess we're really at $1,800 to do all the repairs that I think we need for the backhoe. Now on the skid steer, we have a skid steer that hasn't been used in a year. There is a quote from Bobcat of Indianapolis. The cost of the repairs for that total $6,609.02. I spoke with the guys. Obviously, if we haven't used it in a year, I inquired whether it was necessary at all to own it. There are some attachments that I think we could use, and I would like to keep it. But it doesn't make any sense for us to keep it if it's just going to sit down there and just get older and older and disrepair. If you did choose to sell the skid steer, I saw range. I went online just to see what was on the market on the internet, and I saw it anywhere from $17,000 to $21,000 a range for an operating skid steer of this age, hours. So I guess my argument would be, even if we were going to sell it, it makes more sense to sell it, to make it operational, get it repaired, make it operational, then sell it. Although I do think that we could actually still use that. So it's just a decision. It just doesn't need to be sitting down there for the next 5 years waiting for us to make a decision and let it just go down in value. There's one thing that I'd really like to use on it. We have an attachment. We have a brush on it that would be really, really nice to do streets, especially in the springtime. You know, the perfect example, I just drove the road down by Lou's where you go back west. I don't know if you noticed, but it looks to me like somebody hauling rock has driven down that road, and there's just half a ton of rock strewn down the side of that road. That brush could be handy for things like that, getting up old salt from the winter where it's left alongside the roads. So that's one thing. We also can use it for, you know, any construction project we have.
Repairs, are we talking about?
Yeah, it's ahead. The head cylinder is the big part, that's 2,500.
It's a cracked or?
Yeah. Richard,
Did you go through Bobcat just for the warranty issues, or could you try to find someone, is anybody local that could?
Richard actually took it up there, and honestly, I don't know why he selected Bobcat of Indy. We did have a gentleman that did some repairs for us just on the north side of the interstate here, back on the west side of the road. He does a lot of rentals, just north of, just before you get to Poet, on the west side of the road. He has done some repairs for us. As a matter of fact, he did some repairs on the backhoe. So, I mean, I guess it's possible he could do it all as well. Richard took it to Bobcat, Richard Sosserman did. And it's possible, I mean, he might be able to do it cheaper, I don't know.
I'd say let's get it.
We're gonna have to bring it, it's still, I will say, it's still sitting at Bobcat, waiting for us to make a decision. But I mean, that doesn't mean we can't pick it up. But then we may be taking it right back.
Does it run at all?
No. You can look at that list, I mean, it's pretty,
Yeah.
it's salty, I understand.
Well, Bobcat is.
You're correct.
If you whited out the prices on that and gave it to the gentleman up there, do you think he could give you a bid off of that?
Oh, I'm sure he could.
Why don't you go ahead and do that before you go pick it up? That way you-
That's a very good idea.
And then if his numbers are better,
Yeah.
you may not have the same opinion on what needs to be done.
Right.
Yeah, well, I would just take him this right here and. So that we're not waiting a whole nother month, do you want to make a decision on this and decide how we want to proceed? I mean, let's say Bobcat is the cheaper of the two, or this other one comes in cheaper. Do we want to make a decision to go ahead and proceed with it? Or do you want to wait till the next meeting to see the numbers, or?
Discussion, go ahead and approve the cheaper of the two. Just go ahead and.
Yeah, I think we should just go ahead and approve it.
Yeah, I guess my argument is, even if we're not gonna keep it, if we try to sell it now, it's of no value, or minimal value. It makes sense for us to get it fixed, and then,
With the attachments, it makes sense to keep them.
correct. And I truly think we can use it. But it drives me nuts every time I go down to the maintenance barn and I see a piece of equipment sitting there that hasn't been used in a year. It infuriates me. And my point is, let's either get rid of it or let's fix it and use it, one of the two, and then whichever you decide is fine.
Well, can I get a motion to accept the cheaper of the two, estimates, and then
We're also gonna include the, backhoe.
Yeah.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, next item is the town manager vehicle. I actually it should be in your list as well, in your tablets. We did get the trade-in values that, excuse me, that were given to us by Andy Moore. On that list, the very top vehicle, when he was here, they actually came out and looked at the equipment. I had him just give me an estimate, just so I'd have a pretty good idea. The top vehicle, I really don't want to trade in. That is our service vehicle, so that's got the bed on it, that has all the tools. I just did that, I just wanted to see what kind of value was in it. The others are negotiable. I'm acceptable with it, whatever you guys want to do. Larry and I spoke the other day about other options. I'm open to that. If you want to do one of the vehicles that we have, I'm acceptable with that. Use that as a manager's vehicle. I'm open to whatever.
The same two type vehicles we looked at last month? Or is this something different?
Well, we talked about the possibility of, because we have two pickup trucks right now, using one of those pickup trucks as a town vehicle. That's been, we talked about mileage option, and then we've never taken
Pay him mileage.
the new vehicle off the table either. So it's, again, Kelly and I have spoken about this, and you might ask Kelly what her opinion is on how she would want to.
I guess I was just wondering what the purpose of this. I mean, I know we agreed, to provide Jason with a town vehicle. So obviously we need to do that. But I guess my thought was just why jump into a brand new one when we have vehicles that are just sitting there that nobody's using? I don't know if, if we could maybe, use one of those or whatever and make do, and then maybe make a plan. I'd like to eventually get to where we actually have a plan with our vehicles as to, okay, get on a rotating schedule. This one's gonna come due, we're planning on it, we're gonna buy it this year, that type of thing. So maybe, work something new into the budget in the next, couple years when there's not a need. I mean, I'm just wondering, I guess, what the need is for a brand new one. And then maybe it is trade in all the old ones and get something new, just to have something newer, but,
The easiest and quickest is using what we got right now. Is that okay with you?
I'm sorry?
The easiest is go ahead and use what we have right now.
Uh,
Do we have one?
We talked about the fact that the 2012 crew cab, it's four-wheel drive. It's got 87,000 miles on it. And get it detailed and let him use it.
Yeah, and then we could work, as Kelly's saying, maybe not that far out, but, just start now.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Now, we can work with this. Now, the only thing that is going to do is, that is currently the vehicle that Bradley drives. And we would be trading in that other pickup truck too, so he really wouldn't have a vehicle to drive.
Well,
But-
I thought we were talking about the 12
Correct,
to put you in.
correct. But if we do the 20, he used to drive the,
He's driving a 19 now.
Bradley, not Brad.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, Bradley. Brad's in the new truck. Bradley that does the mowing and those types of things. He's the one driving the 2012.
Right, with several miles.
Correct. With 87,000 miles on it.
He uses that one for work. I mean, that's what he hooks the trailer up to, for the mowers and stuff.
It's only got 87,000 miles on it?
Yeah. Now he did, before that, he drove the 2004, and it's still sitting down there, but that's got 136,000. That's the one that has the little flashing light on the top. That's the one, Bradley. So, we could save that one, potentially, and that could be Bradley's again.
Can we put him in the 203, or what'd you say, 2004?
2004.
Put him in that, because all they're doing, hauling around he doesn't drive it home, does he?
No.
He just hauls around the lawnmowers and lands
Also
on
has
that.
the security line on it, or not security, but a flashing lights so nice.
That's a good thing. And then you could have 2012, and we work towards, make a plan in the budget to get you something else. But that's,
Whatever you guys decide is fine with me.
okay.
I'm acceptable.
And we need to make a motion for that, I don't think.
That's just that administrative function.
Now, we probably want to make a decision what we want to do with,
Town truck and
yeah, we've got the
non-running truck.
2004 that does not run, then the 95 GMC Top Kick dump truck, and then the tractor are three items that, without, I plan to have more for you too, but the only thing right now that I think we probably need to sell, dispose of, whatever it is, between those three. And FYI, he came back with me and gave a trade-in price of $3,500 rather than that $2,500 that's in there.
Is that the gentleman north of the highway?
No, this was from Andy Moore, the gentleman from Andy Moore that came out.
Well, wouldn't that guy be interested, you think? Could you ask him that?
Well, possibly. Trade-in value is, we've got 6,500 between those three.
Okay.
We could see if he's interested. We could take him to auction. We could sit him out here in the park and,
Do advertising, just do a closing date next month, or just have it, pick the highest one.
and I would just like to do something with him. I mean, we're sitting there paying insurance on equipment that hasn't been used, and every day it goes down in value, so.
So
I plan to have more stuff for you at a later point, but these are three that I'd really like to see.
As he gathers that information on the cost of trade-in and all that, we could work quicker on a budget plan for his car, or a newer one. I mean, it all depends on
yeah,
how
I mean,
much you're gonna.
if he's trading, I mean, if we're trading stuff, I mean, regardless, I mean, we could probably get a new car this year,
Yeah.
even though it's not in the budget. I wanna make sure we're doing it because we have a plan, and this is what, going forward, we're not just buying a new car for the sake of buying a new car.
Right.
So, yeah, so I mean, either way, I mean, if you really wanted to, we could do it this year, and we can get a new car.
Let's put you in 2012, get everything together that we want to sell or repair, and then we can make a final decision then as to what to do.
I agree with that completely. I think we need to get a list of all the vehicles that we're gonna dispose of.
Yeah, and those are the three that we have right here.
Advertise and sell them, and take that and put it towards, in the, later in the year, a different vehicle for our manager.
There's a 2004 that 330,000 miles of engine. I'm assuming you're not wanting to repair that before we sell it as is. I mean, 330,000 miles, that's a lot of miles. We're not gonna get much out of it to begin with, so, okay. Okay, I'll put a list together, and then we just need to see what the process is for sealed bids, or if you decide we could take it to.
Surplus at the next meeting, and then advertise it, and then just accept closed bids at the June meeting, we'll open up at the meeting, take the highest bid for each vehicle, and give it to Pete. I'll have to check with Jason. You were talking about a plan. I thought it was the last meeting, you said that you could come up with 10 grand if you had other money to go with it.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
Now
We,
it sounds like there really isn't a plan.
no, I'm saying, well, we have the money. If they wanted to buy a new car right now, we could do it. But I'm just asking them to actually, to make sure we're planning, because like I said, we've got, like Jason said, we have this whole list of vehicles, and I know we've got trucks galore, and so I just wanna make sure that we know what we have first, before we just start spending money buying new. Yeah, and then going forward, I really would like a rotating schedule of a plan of these are the vehicles the town needs. This, this one's getting really old, we know we're gonna need to replace that next year, we know we're gonna need to replace this one in, 3 years, so we start actually having usable, good equipment and a plan to replace that equipment when it goes bad.
So you don't end up with a 2004 truck with 330,000 miles?
Yes, sitting there for, 2-3 years.
Yes, sir.
Tractor, is this the one that had the side mount motor on it?
No, it's a separate one. Yeah, we've got two tractors. The one with this, I think our intent is to keep the one with the bush hog with the arm. Mhm. Yeah, we've got some projects for that this summer, as a matter of fact, so. Yeah, the tractor we have is, well, I don't even have the year here. It's like an 80, I've got it in there, it's like an 85 or something like that. Alice Chalmers, or what Alice Chalmers in, Deutz Alice, yeah. But it hasn't run for a few years either, but it just needs to be, we either need to fix it or get rid of it. And I just don't see a purpose for us using that one.
Can I ask you, what year is that skid steer you got?
It's an S8 185. Does it have it on here? I think it's a 96. I think it's a 96. Yeah, and I was. No, that's the Alice. The skid steer is a 2003. It's a 2003. That Alice is a 96. You want me to continue on? Sorry about taking all your time. Putnam County Zoning Administration. Richard and I have been working on this. I spoke with another commissioner today. So I think this is allowing the county to doing our administration for our zoning. Again, it is not taking away any of our power. We would still have a plan commission
Final decision.
and a BZA. So we had Richard just put it together, interlocal agreement with the county. We've been in contact with their attorney. I've spoken with 2 of the 3 commissioners. They seem on board. The county administrator, zoning administrator seems on board. So I think if we get this
Yeah,
together, we'll be good.
To, on either Thursday or Friday, he's taking it to his building and planning department, just so we can really clarify in the agreement what they're going to be doing. We weren't exactly sure how they handle things, right? So we just wanted to make sure that's clear in the document. And ultimately, I think our ultimate goal here is for them to administer our ordinance on zoning, right? And basically come to you and provide you, here is our report, and what we believe is give you a favorable or unfavorable recommendation, and then you vote on that final determination. They would not be doing any decision-making, only give you a recommendation. On
And we
your
talked
code.
about this,
Yeah,
yeah.
on
So
your code.
we'll probably table it till next month, you think,
Yeah.
be done this
Like,
week, or?
he's working with his people to find out some of the more details. That's gonna be Thursday, Friday, yes, it'll have to be next month, but we'll have some, we should have some for
Do
you.
we need a special meeting to?
No.
Okay, then we'll just do it next month.
And just what I just keep reemphasizing that we don't lose control by doing this. I don't want people of Cloverdale to think we're turning over authority of this to the county or someone else. We still have full authority. Next item is infiltration. I've actually spoken with Richard about this as well. We do have some semblance of an infiltration ordinance on our books already. It doesn't read the way I think it should be, the language doesn't read the way it should be. So we're kind of talking about adjusting that a little bit and how we would do inspections. But I think we've got the gist of it already in our ordinance. We think we just need to clean that up a little bit. So we're not ready to pass anything yet. We're still kind of working on that a little bit. We've had some conversations about that. So there's nothing really to decide on that yet. The next item I have is the old water tower property. Did I skip that? Oh, sorry. I was going off my list, which is in a different order. Blue Side Way. As you know, we sent out the project. We had sent out to probably 13 different contractors. We received 3 quotes back from 3 different companies. You should have the bid packets, or the quote packets in your records there as well. We received from Graves Construction, Putnam Earthworks, and Plant Brothers Excavating.
They were the lowest.
Yes, and I can give you these if the public wants to hear. Putnam Earthworks came in at $139,200. Graves Construction Services, Inc. came in at $155,155. And Plant Brothers Excavating came in at $91,045. Lori at Curry Engineering did review all of these. She included in your packet a recommendation letter to select Plant Brothers Excavating of Rosedale, Indiana. I did do some research on them to confirm. I'd never worked with them, not even heard of them. They are a union shop out of Rosedale. I know Richard has had worked with them at Riley. And they did a good job there. I know they did some work in West Lafayette as well. So I feel comfortable with using them. And Lori said if we did checked up on them and made sure that it was they would do a reasonable job, she would recommend that we accept that bid. Mhm.
She did say contingent upon favorable recommendation.
Sure, and
I've worked with them and
Okay.
have been nothing but happy with their work product.
And I spoke with the executive director of State Pipe Trades too, and he's familiar with them and says they do a good job as well, so I feel comfortable with them if you guys.
Question, I understand we're going underground. Will they bore under at the other side, hook on the pipe and pull it back?
I thought they pushed it through.
They actually pull it, they push,
And then,
push it,
Bore
steel
pipe
rod
and
through,
then pull it, okay.
then they pull it back.
Now, my question is,
mhm.
you gotta go down and flatten out, come back up. When I start pulling back, when you get to that first bend, that weight of that pull, will that have a tendency to turn the earth under or collapse down there at the bottom?
No.
And the same thing coming up the other side?
They actually use lubricant on, push and,
How sharp a turn does that?
And it's a pretty gradual turn.
it's very gradual because you're using steel rods, approximately 20 foot long.
I will say, they did it, Lori did an addendum after we had sent quotes out and did an addendum. We had one contractor contact us and say that they couldn't get the boring machine to go that steep of a grade. We also had another contractor had concern about the amount of rock there. They went out and they found that it's 2 feet down before they're hitting rock. So there were some concerns. I suspect these higher bids were because of the amount of rock that's there. So she did an addendum. As a matter of fact, I was laying on the beach in California 2 weeks ago when I was talking to Lori about that. That's just what I wanted to be doing, was talking about boring in Cloverdale while I'm on the beach. But we had that conversation, and she sent the addendum out to all the contractors stating that they can dig this project if they can't bore it. The concern is how much rock there may be. So I know one or two contractors did probe it, and they were finding it at about 2 feet, which isn't very deep. So I suspect there's probably rock there, and I think that's why we had two contractors with pretty. One boring company I know couldn't even, they said their boring machine wouldn't go at that angle. They wouldn't be able to make that angle and then make the angle back up. I'm not an expert in that field, so I do know that Plant Brothers, I watched one of their YouTube things just to check up on them. They do actually have a boring machine, so they're doing it themselves. So apparently they feel confident they can do it.
That's just for the boring and the pipe, that doesn't count for the lift station itself, does it?
Yeah, no, that price? No, that's everything.
That includes the lift station.
Yeah, it was a little over what the engineer's estimate was. It wasn't bad. Was it 9,000?
Yeah, about 8,000, 9,000.
Yeah, about $8,000 or $9,000 over engineer's estimate. But that's sure better than the $50,000 over engineer's estimate of a couple others. Now, actually, I'd like to thank Richard for that. That wasn't even a company that we had solicited, so.
I sent out, Curtis sent me the plans, or maybe Jason here,
Yeah, but
and I sent it to a half dozen, contractors that I've worked for in the past.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
Jason, on that, do they guarantee that for a certain amount of time after they get it done, so they get it all in, all fixed and everything, and all of a sudden another leak creates right there in the bend,
well, it will be inspected as it's being done. So it,
Tested too before it's passed on to the town.
So once the test is done, they're not obligated,
There's probably some warranty on some, I don't know, I'd have to.
yeah, I don't know. I would guess that probably there's some, they would come back if there's. They don't want to leave us hanging either. Just like I was checking up on them on this project, they don't want their next project to use us as a reference, and I give them a bad reference. So I would guess they would take care of anything. I know we'll have inspection. That's part of what we do. Our engineer will do inspections as it's happening. So I feel pretty confident, at least the installation of it's going to be done properly. But I guess there's always the chance something could happen.
thank you.
All right, any other discussion? We need a motion to go ahead with the 91K from Plant Brothers.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Can I get
Okay. The old water tower property, I'm not sure if you're aware, I included that in there as well. It is just south of Casey's on the east side of the road. There is a 50 by 50 parcel that the old water tower sat there years and years ago. I've spoken with Richard Sosserman about this. He said there is the possibility that there is still an active water line there that goes to the tower. He doesn't know for sure or not. I did chat with him. I said, could we abandon it? And he felt very confident we could abandon it. There is a water line that comes from the south, off of Robert Weist and heads behind that first house there to the south of Casey's, right on the corner. There's a water meter there, and we could abandon it immediately after that water meter, and we wouldn't have to worry about any of our water lines going onto this 50 by 50 property. The reason this has even come up is we have a person that's interested in developing that property. The problem with it, if this person does develop that property, our setbacks would actually be off of that 50 by 50 property that the town currently owns, which would really push this business pretty close to 231, or probably closer than you would want to allow parking in the front. So I was just proposing the possibility of declaring it surplus property of some type, whether we do a sealed bid for it or if it has to be. I honestly don't know what the process is. Richard, you could probably find this out, or if we can appraise it and sell it, or I don't even know if you guys want to get rid of it. My concern is if this business could still set up shop there, it's just not going to be ideal.
This piece right here, right, because we talked about this, is that it?
Yes.
And these people want it,
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they want to put their business at the back,
yeah.
so the parking is in the front, but our setbacks would go off of
Right.
what we own. The second part of that there are four lots there. That very southern lot, they are in negotiations with Duke Energy. Duke Energy has to get easement, 25 foot of easement on that side, so they're going to take 25 foot, well, they're gonna pay this property owner whatever that amount is, whatever they negotiate, for that 25 feet. So that 25 feet there is unbuildable as soon as Duke has their easement through there. Now, it can be used for parking and other things like that.
Right off the Main Street, 25 feet.
Well, no, this is actually 25 feet from the south property line.
Yeah.
So it really puts, without this person having access to the property that we own, it would be very difficult to put a building there.
So for the town, for the town to get rid of this piece of property, it's, can be a little costly, because you have to get appraisals. And then you have to sell it for, I think it's the average of 2 appraisals. This isn't a very big piece of property, and I don't know how much it'll come back appraised for, but the cost of doing all this is, I think, a little burdensome to the town. A better approach, in my opinion, would be for the town to determine this to be surplus and give it to the redevelopment commission. And there's a mechanism in place for that. Because of the assessed value of this, we can give it to the redevelopment commission without getting any appraisals done. We donate it to another entity, a municipal entity. And then the redevelopment commission could deal with these landowners in a more economical way for everybody to make this a go.
We have another piece of property. We'll talk about it later.
Don't do this to me, Larry.
Now, we're saying a piece of property, but there's 4 lots, so there's still 4 pieces?
We don't own 4 lots. We own the 50 by 50 piece of ground.
It's in your,
Yeah, I got it.
yeah, okay, yeah.
And it's got 5 huge concrete pieces that were obviously held the tower up at one point.
And I've talked to Lou Britton, the attorney for the redevelopment commission, about this, and bounced this idea out, but he agreed that this was a good mechanism.
All right, let's do that. Do we need a motion to
I don't
turn it
have,
over to redevelopment, or?
I So let's just wait and we'll take care of that next month.
Unless there's something that you think the town would use this little piece of property for. It is actually totally landlocked. We would have no access without a judge's.
Any other discussions for that? No.
Next thing, floodplain administrator. This may be on hold as well. I was notified by the state about a week ago that apparently we're supposed to have a floodplain administrator, and that we also have some reports that we have to supply back to them. So one thing that we're trying to determine, I'm working with her right now with the state, is to determine, it's supposed to be, our code says that it is the building inspector is also the floodplain administrator. Well, obviously, we don't have an in-house building inspector now. So I'm actually speaking with Lisa Ziner at the county to determine if she is going to assume that responsibility, or if we need to change our ordinance to state that it's gonna be the town manager or the clerk treasurer to the floodplain or. Yeah. But I did want to put that on the agenda. That's something we're gonna need to deal with. I'm still trying to figure that out, who's going to do that. But we do have some reports that do need to be done.
Bring that to us next month.
Yep. Last thing, and then I'll be done, I promise. Opportunity Zone, congratulations to the town of Cloverdale and Putnam County. We did submit an application to the Indiana Office of Community and Rural Affairs, and to all of Cloverdale and a little bit of the surrounding area and east along 70 was declared an opportunity zone by the state, by the governor. We were selected to participate in a plan to develop a prospectus that would be assisted by Purdue University and the Office of Community and Rural Affairs. And at the end of the day, we're going to have a prospectus that we could actually send out to potential investors and potential businesses to come develop in our community. There are some tax benefits for a business that wants to develop here because of this. And this prospectus also reaches out for investors. Those investors can be from local investors as well. So we're going to have several months involved in this. Right now, sitting on the initial committee is Kristen Clary, which is the Putnam County Economic Development Director. Tom Helmer, which I'm sure you know, he's a county commissioner now. And then myself are on that. But they ask us to collect 10, 12 more people to be on an advisory committee. Those can be people from education, it can be from the local government, it can be from local business owners, whomever it is that we think might be someone that have a vested interest in this area. So my recommendation is that we at least have someone from, at least one person from the town council on this committee. I don't know if you want to select somebody tonight or somebody wants to volunteer. It's not necessarily an official appointment. But also, if there are other names of people that you think would do a good job representing the town and our community on this. So, I mean, it could be a local business owner, it could be somebody from CBRC, it could be somebody from the school, the superintendent or the principal or something like that. So if there are any names that you come up with, we can add these to the list of people. I know Kristen was putting some names together and Tom was as well. But I really would like at least one council member to be involved or I would recommend that, but, so you guys can think about it or.
The more involvement from our community, the better.
Yeah, this opportunity zone, it's clearly focused around Cloverdale. I mean, it has areas out in the country, but it's Cloverdale centric.
But we need to jump on these opportunity zones as they come by, right?
Yeah, well, this will be the only one. There are I think 86 of them statewide, and we were one of 4 that got selected this time. To do this would cost a lot of money. I mean, it's a pretty good feather in your cap for drawing this in.
That, you throw that opportunity zone, it covers the 70 intersection.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of
Right underneath that building.
Yeah.
So, but our next step is, I had a conference call with them yesterday, and that was our next step, is to get this group of interested parties together.
Let's work on
So.
that. You know, council members, anybody here feel an act, we can, you know, maybe we'll speak up by
It's,
Or, Greg might be interested.
yeah, thought Larry said he wanted to do it. I thought, didn't you say that, Larry? But no, it's something that, it's good for the community. It could be really beneficial to us. You know, I'm proud of it. You know, we're one of the few that got selected in the entire state, so.
I think president of our redevelopment committee.
He will. Yeah, he will. All right, that's good
The,
stuff.
the only other thing I'll say is I am leaving tonight. I'm heading to a AWWA conference, and I'll be there tomorrow and half a day on Thursday. Richard is there already. He gets continuing education for being at this conference, and it's pretty important for him to be there.
You go ahead and kick off then, right? I mean, we need to get going now.
You don't know how bad I'd love to go right now. No, I'll stay for the meeting. But no, it'll be good. You know, I'll be able to meet with a lot of vendors that we've worked with in the past, engineers. I mean, you go to one of these conferences, everybody you need to know is there, so it should be really good. And I'm sure Richard's getting some good benefit out of it too, not to mention he has to. So, okay, that's it.
Thank you, Jason. All right, Kelly.
Okay, I just want to, in your packets, I included revenue reports this time. This is the first of a series. I'm really trying to get get more information to you guys for transparency. So when you ask financial questions, it's not just me telling you anything, but you have numbers that, you know, that will back things up, and you'll be able to track as well as me how things are going. So the two that I provided you with this year, one of them was, or this month, it was all of last year's by month. So 2020, you can see it goes down the list, basically all the revenue that came in each month. And then I've also provided you with one that's this year so far. So you've got January, February, and March, all the revenue that's come in. I have been kind of just tracking things because of COVID. You know, the revenues, you keep hearing rumors that the revenues are, you know, possibly going to be going down. So far, what I've seen, it looks pretty steady. There's been a little bit of discrepancy, but not too much. But I have heard that probably next year and the year after would be where we're going to see the biggest hits. But I just like to provide you, you know, with these every month so you can see how things are going as well. So you're aware of that.
That'll definitely help in the budget that we do next year, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Trends.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, so that's just for your information. There is also another document that I provided you with. Looks like there's 4 old outstanding warrants. These are old checks that we had written in the past to people, and they never got cashed, and they're over 2 years old, and so they were added back into our accounts now. So I was under the impression that we didn't have to have a motion or anything, but I was just bringing this to your attention that these have been added back to our accounts now. The next thing is kind of exciting for us. Yeah, so the federal government just recently passed the American Rescue Plan Act of 2020, you know, for 2021, and that was a stimulus bill, and some of that money trickles down to towns, local government. It's going to be actually provided to each state, and then the state will divide it up amongst all the towns. And I've provided you with a paper. Cloverdale is due to receive $450,000. That's not coming all at once. It's my understanding it's coming in 2 installments, and I don't know what the breakdown will be. And there is also, with any government money, there comes a list of what you can use it for. Strings attached. Yeah, so that is in there as well. But the first thing that we have to do is per the State Board of Accounts, they wanted us to create a separate fund that would, when the money comes, it specifically goes into that fund, and that's just a way of tracking it. And so we have to have a fund in place. And so I've also provided you with an ordinance. It's ordinance number 2021-1. And it basically just says we're creating this fund, and it's the American Rescue Plan Act fund. it gives the fund number in there, and then it gives the provisions for what we can use that money for. And also, there is a stipulation that this money has to be used by December 31st, 2024. But that gives us plenty of time to think and, think about how we can best use this money to help the town. And I will point out that one of the authorized uses for this money, the very last one on the list, is to make necessary investments in water, sewer, or broadband. And so this might be a really good help to our town, giving us some extra funds to fix some of our sewer issues without having to go into debt. I think if we, really take our time and do some planning, and Jason and I have talked, and use this wisely, I think this could really help the town out.
I would also urge you not to spend any of this money immediately. During the last round of funding, they changed some of the rules after they dispersed the money. And there were some communities that got in trouble because they spent the money too quick. Too fast. Well, it's not they spent too fast, they spent it, but later determined to be not correct. Right, so let's pass this ordinance this evening, get the funds, and then just, let's give a little time to see if they change the rules again.
Well, we could be planning in the meantime.
Absolutely plan, but just, we do our due diligence in making sure that we don't create a problem for ourselves down the road.
Yeah.
We've got plenty of time to spend this money. Let's just make sure that they don't change the rules by the time we get our next chunk of change. So,
Good deal. Any other discussion on that? I would, I'd ask for a motion to pass ordinance number 2021-1.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm passing this around. There's 2 copies in there. I need everyone's signature on both copies. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Kelly. All right, planning or BZA, anyone here? Great tonight. Okay. Park board, yes, sir.
Last meeting, we talked about roofing.
Can I ask you to come up to the mic so everybody at home can hear us? I appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm John Berry, by the way, I'm the Park Board President. Last month, we discussed getting bids to roof the log cabin. And we were going to do it with shake shingles, which is what's on there now. I have not, unless Kelly's received any bids from anyone that would be willing to do that. I'm not giving up on it by any means. I tried to talk to some local roofing contractors to keep it local. And I may have to go outside of town to do that. Okay. I can look up through the roof and see holes, but it's not anything that's going to interfere with our camera system. As you know, we got electronics in that building for our camera system. At this point, I don't know where to go with it, other than to go out of town and talk to some other roofing companies outside. The water's not on at the park, although we tried to turn it on. There was a water leak, and I haven't been able to coordinate with the town to have them there when I'm there. I'm thinking maybe the shut-off valves on the inside in the bathrooms may not be shutting off, because that's the only thing I had hooked up, and I had the valves, turned off. They may not be shutting off. So I went in and hooked all the lines up in case that is the problem. But I need to get with Jason and arrange something. The boys get off the same time I do, and I drive from Plainfield, so they're long gone, okay? And that's pretty much what we've got. And right now, taking off from work is not a
Is this something you can do on the weekend?
we could do that on the weekends. If I can get Jason and the crew to discuss that with me. we could do that, or I would be willing to pay the town back for the time that somebody comes out, because they may turn the water on, may turn it right back off, you know, that type of thing. So I don't know as far as the time frame, as to how long we would need one, you know. And I don't know whether he has like a 2-hour limit where, you know, where they get paid for coming out or whatever. It's what? Okay. There is a set of keys. That was the problem before. They didn't have keys to go into the restrooms. There is a set of keys here somewhere for the town park. I made sure I made up a set for them, and unless it's disappeared. Okay. There is a set of keys, and I'll be more than happy to give somebody an extra set. We've got a set in the little building.
I have a set of about 150 keys.
Well, one of those should fit.
Down there, they don't take too long.
It is a master key, okay?
I'm not throwing any away though.
Okay,
Yeah, I might have a key as well. That's a
Okay.
project that I was just thinking about today that needs done, is to.
okay, and I didn't bring them with me as far as the key number. I didn't bring them with me,
But
so.
I might have, I have, like Jason, I have access to a lot of keys in my office, and I'm not quite sure what's what yet.
But the keys to the restroom are in the little building, hanging up inside the door. And it takes a master key to get into there, okay? I've got extra keys there. And at this point, I don't know where we're gonna go. It may be an underground thing, so we may have to shut it back off, you know, I don't know. I just,
Well, I think Jason will work with you.
yeah, okay. Other than that, I don't have anything. We discussed working on a long-term proposal is what we want to do at the park, and so far we've discussed it. That's it. Okay, we mentioned we need to do that, okay? And we're gonna set up a time to do that. I want to meet out at the park and kind of get the rest of the board's feelings on what they want to do, you know, what are they thinking, you know? I'm kind of thinking we want to redo the basketball court. And of course, the log cabin, the roof on the log cabin and that timber is going to take priority. And then we got some other things that we would like to do, so. But I'll get with you on that and get some, I'll have some numbers when I do. Kind of scare you to death. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Has there been any movement on the story walks project with the library?
No. They came to a meeting, we discussed what they wanted. They're to get back with me, or get back with the town and the board, because I want to kind of coordinate, let them know what's going on. That is a fantastic idea. As you know, we discussed where they put up like Burma shave signs around the park where each one's a story. And they're all different chapters, and when you get around to the finish, you've read the book. And it's for the kids, you know, as much as the adults, so, you know, to bring more interest in the walk path even, so, you know. And the walk path's getting wore out, which is good, you know, I mean, and we just resurfaced it sealed it last summer, so we're in good shape with that. I think it's what's that? There's gonna be different posts set up, and I don't even remember now how many posts they said. It was like 10 or 12 posts, and each one's got a chapter of that book. And they change that like every 3 months right now. I think they're planning every 3 months. Said once it gets underway, then they'll change it more often. And they'll probably like to have somebody local to do that, and we can coordinate that when it becomes a reality, okay? Right now, it's still in the planning stages, okay? Yeah, I think that's all I've got. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, any new business? Any old business?
Rick, I didn't put this on under my agenda. I should have brought it up. If you got a second. I didn't even realize this until I got a letter that was dated last May, and Kelly ran across it just 2 hours before the meeting. So this is the first time I've seen this, but I think you guys have been involved with this. There was a letter from NDOT last May about our sidewalks not being ADA compliant. I think you guys probably, because we've already voted on this a while back.
Yeah.
The construction is actually going to start tomorrow. So there, and I spoke with Scott Mayhew at Mayhew Construction. I wasn't even sure what, that the projects we were doing corresponded with the projects that NDOT was requiring us to repair, and it does.
Okay.
So, those issues should be addressed tomorrow. Scott apparently has already been in contact with NDOT about this as well, so it sounds to me like he's kind of done some work. Those will be addressed tomorrow, so I apologize, I didn't realize that those were even issues that NDOT was requiring us to do.
Was there something more than the incline then?
No.
It was just the incline?
Yeah, there were a couple issues where the sidewalk crossed gravel driveways, and they have to put just a little landing there. So it doesn't like a huge project, but these were approved quite some time ago, apparently well before me. But I didn't realize it was even an issue for EDA until today, so. But I did just talk to him, I wanted to be able to tell you, and I should have done that under the superintendent's report, but I didn't have it initially on the agenda, so I apologize.
Quite all right, all good. Any questions from the audience? Get anything online?
Online, I can see that we are streaming, because it shows live, and it shows you guys wearing the clothes you're wearing. Unless you're wearing the same clothes you wore last meeting.
Dang, I tell you what,
I'm glad we're wearing clothes.
But I don't see where I can, it actually,
trying to find comments to the people that are online watching.
Oh,
To see if they have any questions before we adjourn.
see, I see Gary there, I know we're on live.
Okay, well, we'll get that tuned in so that next meeting or so, we can, if we have questions or comments from the online community, we can talk about those too. There's no other matters. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, Brandon.
Yeah, I'll turn into a pumpkin.
Cindy, before you guys